Mail theft continues to be an issue for some residents in Queens. There's been a series of relay box break-ins caught on camera at the corner of 23rd Avenue and Astoria. Locals from Bayside to Woodside even tell CBS News that paychecks and driver's licenses have disappeared in transit. Even the USPS says mail theft is on the rise, pledging to combat the issue. Joining us now to discuss is Richard Esposito, CBS News law enforcement contributor and former NYPD deputy commissioner. Great to have you with us, Richard. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you, Chris.
Hey, we've been talking about this for quite a while, months, maybe even going on years now. But why is Queens such a high target area for this crime?
You know, that's a really good question. And when you look at it, in the state of New York, Queens has the second largest aging population. They have over 350,000 people over 65. And many of those people are new immigrants born in foreign countries. So there's more of a tendency towards checks than online banking. So those green relay boxes are ripe targets for financial crime. Checks, paychecks, Social Security checks, retirement checks. In one box, there's the opportunity for a small group of thieves to commit a large financial crime.
And we've been talking about prescription drugs being included in that as well, making it more of a haul for these, for whoever's responsible. So how does the NYPD typically approach something like this? We talk about crime with you each and every week. I'm sure some people listening right now that said, well, you know what, that really doesn't rise to the level of deploying countless resources to something like this. Not to diminish it, but there are bigger issues out there. So where is the NYPD? Where do they stand when it comes to defending something like this?
You know, it's a very big challenge. There are millions of these arrow keys that the Postal Service has in circulation, and many of them they can't account for. It's that old-fashioned mechanism that lets a thief into these boxes. So for the PD, there's working with the Postal Service, working with the federal government in a sense, but also trying to identify what looks like in many cases in Maspeth and Astoria, a small group of thieves, and you've seen that on the video. It's just one or two people can take out an enormous amount of people's money.
And you know,
so for the
it's funny because we're looking at the pictures as you're describing them, and these are trash bags full of mail and packages and things that they're just, I mean, casually just grabbing and throwing right into the back of a car. It seems like for the criminals, this is a pretty easy crime.
It is, and it's really fortunate that Congresswoman Grace Meng called attention to it. She wrote the letters to the Postal Service, I think in January, pointing out that, hey, this is a real problem in my district, and focus their attention a little bit. They admit that the long-term problem is going to be a big challenge for the Postal Service, taking out of circulation these old-fashioned keys, replacing them with something newer, digital technology. For residents, what do you do? Call the police, put video cameras up. Maybe that's something we can do more of on the city side. But obviously, educating people, older people, to move away from checks and move toward the direct deposit systems that retirement funds, Social Security, payroll services all have set up. And that's a challenge.
And that is pretty tough because, you know, old habits die hard and people get used to doing things a certain way, especially now, older age. I know with my parents, getting them to, you know, change cable providers, it's difficult, let alone doing something, doing something like this at this point. And the Postal Office, as we know, USPS, they've got no money. They're in debt up to their ears. So it's very, I mean, it's kind of tough on both sides to get any real substantive changes here.
Yeah, the Postal Service is down like 33% in their postal inspector workforce. Their budget is down phenomenally. They're under a lot of pressure, and they try their best, and you'll see that they acknowledge their weaknesses in this area.
All right, well, Richard Esposito, thank you so much. Good to hear from you, as always. Thanks for being with us here, our CBS News law enforcement contributor and former NYPD deputy commissioner. Richard, good to talk to you. We'll talk to you next week.